full review on that.
Other than that, David, what you doing?
Got a couple things. You guys probably know about the first thing. Well, I know you know because you're the ones that referred me to it. This week I wanted to talk about my experience so far with Blue Apron, which is, again, a subscription box where they send you all of the ingredients for 3 meals a week. They either have like a 2-person meal subscription package where you can feed 2 people like me and my wife, or you can do a family one, which I think is a family of 4.
Yeah. 4.
And it's $60 a week, which sounds like a lot when you say that, like $60 a week. Geez, that's $240 a month. But like if you actually think about it, it's $10 a person for these meals. Now the meals are pretty like high end stuff. I mean, not super high end, but I would say they're medium to high.
They're
like,
not stuff that your mom made you.
No,
it's not pasta and spaghetti sauce that we normally eat. So
right. So, yeah, I got referred from you. So my first week was free. So I had that.
You're welcome. I didn't get that.
So we had the first week. I think so. Just to give you an idea of some of the stuff that they had, our week was they had a shrimp and shiitake pot stickers with some bok choy, which my wife had never had. And she's like, I like bok choy, and that's why I think I like this meal subscription is because it does. If it doesn't give you something like, sometimes it's like seared steak, right? But then it'll give you like a vegetable or something that's a little bit different than maybe you traditionally might have. Like, it gives you this type of squash that's not just butternut squash or, or whatever, yellow squash. It's like a very heirloom, unique, organic squash. And it's like, oh, wow, this is delicious.
Mm-hmm.
We had that, the beet and ricotta, like grilled cheese sandwich. I'm really worried because it looks disgusting, by the way.
It's so good, though.
But it's really good because you pickle the beets with honey. And like obviously vinegar and like oil and stuff like that, and it's really good with the ricotta cheese. It's good.
But I will tell you this: going into this, I thought this was going to be like a pretty straightforward like meal thing. Some of the stuff is actually a little. I would say it's more on the complicated side at times versus the streamlined side. Like you got to be ready to cook.
Yeah.
Like there's no messing around when you because like it says, okay, when this is going, do this, and it means it because like everything, if you do it the way they're saying, everything will come out at the same time. And like the first thing they say is like chop everything up, get everything prepared in these little bowls, mise en place, French for everything in its place. That is important because when they go. They expect you to be. So like when I cook traditionally, I'll be like, okay, I know that's going to take about that, but it can sit for a couple minutes. So I'll have some time. I'll prepare while that's cooking. You cannot do that with this.
No, prepare everything right.
Right. And I think this week we had seared steak, which was great. But
we're having that on Monday.
Yeah, I'm excited.
It's actually it's a good kind of meat.
Yeah.
And
it's broccoli.
With seared broccoli.
Yeah, so seared broccoli, and then it comes with potato. But and they put creme fraiche, which made me think of South Park, of course.
Creme fraiche.
But excellent food. I like the way that it comes. Everything comes. You don't have to go to the grocery store, and it forces you to cook.
Yes,
it forces you because otherwise you're like, we're throwing away $10. We're throwing away $20 right now. So that in and of itself is the reason to get it because there's so many instances where I'm like, I come home and it's 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock, and I'm like, I don't want to cook. But I also don't want to throw away $20. All right, I'll cook. And then I end up eating a better meal. It's better for me. The calories on this stuff is relatively
really
low.
It's anywhere from 400 to 800 calories. 800 calories a serving is the max they'll put in.
Yeah. And you learn techniques. You learn, I didn't know I only had to buy 1 potato to feed me and my wife for a side of mashed potatoes. I would, when I go, I buy a freaking 5-pound bag and I make like way too much and we throw it in the refrigerator and then throw it away before the day, before garbage day. So it teaches you how to like cook for 2 or cook for the.
There's never any leftovers. It's the perfect amount for 2 people. I don't feel overstuffed. Obviously, I'm a humongous person, so normally I eat a lot of food, and this kind of forces you to like, no, this is the right amount of food you should be eating. My wife doesn't really like a lot of vegetables and stuff, and now she likes squash and all this kind of stuff we're making.
I can say this week I had a persimmon.
Yeah,
and I had no idea what it was.
What was the salad? Persimmon and what?
Fennel.
And yeah, she does not like
fennel.
Fennel
Is disgusting.
Oh, so
fennel tastes like black licorice.
Yeah, it's got that black licorice
And
taste.
if you follow me on Twitter, I make a lot of vegetable puns throughout the week.
There you go. Sometimes they even do a good job of like hiding your vegetables. Like they did I think it was last week where they're like, we have like white rice, like nice jasmine rice with some vegetables in it.
Yeah.
Like they definitely do a good job of hiding the, the eat your vegetables type thing. But usually each week like ours, it's what I've seen so far is it's because you can pick if you want shellfish or if you want regular fish or if you just want vegetarian.
And we've neglected both because Sarah doesn't like seafood. So we normally get like 2 protein dishes and 1 veggie dish that doesn't have any kind of meat in it.
But like I said, it teaches you techniques that you might like. You make the dumplings for that shrimp and shiitake mushroom.
They give you little papers and stuff.
Yeah, they give you the little what are they called? The pot stickers. The
wraps.
Yeah, the wraps. Yeah, so like I've made that before, but not in a long time. And I was like, oh yeah, it's fun. It's kind of like making like dumplings or tamales. Like it's a process, but it's like you get into it, and then when you're done, you're like, oh, I could do this.
And I like at the end of the meal when you're like plating everything, you have the picture that they give you. You're like, I gotta plate this. I have pictures of all the meals that we take just so I can like compare them. And at the end, once everything comes out, it tastes good. And I'm like, Sarah, let's eat it. Let's take one bite together.
Yeah,
you're like, oh wow, this is like really good. Like,
it's like restaurant quality food. I mean, you're
satisfying.
making it at home, and it's good. And the thing that sucks about cooking, and I just hate the dishes. Like, I want, like, disposable cooking everything, which is terrible for the environment. Don't make that.
No, and they're like, okay, put this in a bowl, and then you're never going to use that bowl again. So it's like, I have so many, like, crap that I didn't use.
But if you don't do that, you'll be in a world of hurt.
Well, the thing about that I like about this is it's kind of forced us to get into a better routine.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, Gerald cooks, and I do the So it's like, whereas before we would, like, kind of fight about who has to do the dishes. So it helps out your relationships too.
Yeah,
Blue Apron, saving marriages.
Yeah.
No, I'm being honest. What's cool too, also, if every week you can choose if you don't want that delivered. So, like, you can take a week off. We were actually going to take this week off because of Thanksgiving, and we're like, I don't know, because one of them's a turkey. I was like, I like turkey, but I don't know how much turkey I can eat.
Yeah, too much.
Ours come on Saturdays, and we eat Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so we're still getting this week.
Yeah, we get ours on Tuesday, and then we usually Wednesday, Thursday, and then someday on the weekend.
But we are going to skip the week that Gerald he's not in town. So
yeah,
I'm not doing that.
But
I'm
I
not
like
cooking
that
for myself.
I like that idea that you can say, you know what, next week looks too busy, I'm not going to be able to do it. But again, I also am cognizant of the idea that if I like that I don't do that, because it forces me to cook, which I love cooking, but sometimes my laziness gets in the way of my ambition. Probably most of the time, in fact. But the other thing I wanted to talk about this week, other than Blue Apron, was a new board game that I played.
Of course.
It's not technically a new game. This came out in 2004, but it's a new game that I played for the first time. It is called Shadows Over Camelot. You guys are gonna let me do this here. I'll just give you I'll move the box up because you always want to read the back.
Yeah.
So this is a unique game in that it's a cooperative game. It is it's a 3 to 8 player game, or 3 to 7, I think. So it's a big game, but it's a cooperative game where you are taking on the role of the various different knights of Camelot. We are, what is it?
We're the Knights of the Round Table. Tis a silly place.
Yes. Well, that's what's cool about this game is like all of those jokes from Monty Python, they constantly come through when you're playing the game. Everyone's joking about, because like when we played with some family and my wife was King Arthur, so constantly I was like, King Arthur, King of the Britons. Like, it's just constantly doing that kind of stuff. I didn't vote for you. But let me tell you about the game. So the game is a very straightforward game. It has a lot of the board looks gorgeous, and it looks like there's a ton of pieces, but really this is one of those games where the pieces are just there to kind of make it look cooler. It doesn't add complexity to it.
It's got miniatures.
Yeah, little miniatures for all the knights. So what happens is you have a couple different boards, and essentially what you do, you're all working together to try to defeat the board. This is one of those games where everyone's working together and the board is actively working against you. The progression of evil, as it's called in this game. So on your turn, what all the knights are trying to do is go on these various different quests to get the Holy Grail. That's one of the quests that you can do.
What is your quest?
Exactly. Go get Lancelot's armor. You can also get the Excalibur, the sword from the lady at the lake. So you can do all these. You can fight the Black Knight. You can keep back the invasion of the Saxons. So there's lots of different little missions that you can do, and each of those give you victory points, or these white swords. So at the end of the game, if you have more white swords than you have black swords, which is failure, the black swords, then you win the game. And the unique thing about this game, so that in and of itself is kind of a basic mechanic where everyone's working together, but one of you potentially is a filthy traitor, and no one knows who they are.
Was it you, David?
It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
But you would have loved it.
I love being the traitor. Everyone's like,
you're the spy.
You're the spy. So it has that mechanic of you're all working together, but you're like, are you fooling me? Are you trying to help me?
They have their own objective.
No, their objective is to make everyone, because you fail in a couple different ways. There's if too many of the siege engines get outside of Camelot. If you put 12 on the board, then Camelot is overrun and everyone loses. If all the knights die, then Camelot is obviously that's the end of the game. Or if there's more failure swords than there are success swords at the end of the game, then evil triumphs, right? And what's cool is that most games where you're the traitor, you try to be the traitor, but you can't really reveal yourself until if you reveal yourself, then the other side is essentially won.
Yeah.
Well, in this game, if you don't reveal yourself and you get all the way to the end, if no one's accused you of being the traitor, then you get to take 2 white swords. So we'll be like, oh, we won. Oh wait, is one of us a traitor? Yeah, you're a traitor. Oh, I get to flip 2 white swords to black, which could turn the tide.
Interesting.
So there's a mechanic of trying to accuse people, but if you wrongfully accuse somebody, then you have to put a black sword onto the table. So you have to be very careful. So I played it. My brother-in-law was the traitor, and he did an excellent job. He like played stupid a bunch of times where he's like, oh, I didn't have the right card. I got to go back to Camelot. And we're like, why are you wasting all your turns, buddy? And he had like a fat stack of cards. He's like, oh, I don't have the right card. And I was like, you're such a traitor. You're right. Yeah. So, but we ended up winning on like just the last second. So it was one of those great moments in board gaming, history where it's like, we need this one card and we take it and that's the card. And you're like, yeah, it's like so much fun. Camelot.
And it's like slow motion as you rise up from your chair.
Exactly. It's awesome. So very cool game, very simple. Basically what you're doing on these quests is like you're trying to create sets of cards like a full house. There's these cards that say fight on them. They have numbers, so they're valued 1 to 5. So if you go and get Lancelot's army, someone's got to set down 3 of the same number and then 2 of the same number, so make a full house. So the mechanics of it are incredibly easy, like what you're trying to do to defeat the quests. Mm-hmm. But really the mechanic, the difference in this game is that traitor thing. So because if you're a good spy, like any good spy game, at the beginning you do good things. So everyone's like, oh, look, hey, this guy can't be the spy. He just helped us.
And is there always a traitor?
Not always. So you started, there's 8 cards that one of them is traitor, 7 of them are loyal. So you shuffle those up and you pass one out. So there's a chance, we played with 5 people, that no one's a traitor. But then eventually as the game goes on, like someone will do something very strange.
Well, that would suck if no one's a traitor and then everyone's like, okay, well, who's the traitor? No, none of us traitor. Was like, oh, you would say that if you were the traitor.
That's the point, right? So you're never sure. And like I said, my brother-in-law played it pretty well. Like he actually got, like he fooled everyone. And then I remember my sister-in-law was like, it's definitely him. And I was like, well, be careful, because if you accuse him and he's not, that doesn't help us.
Yeah.
And she's like, you would say that because you're the traitor. And it's just like, that's constantly going on in the game. Ton of fun. I can't recommend it enough. It's been out for a long time. It's made by Days of Wonder, so the component quality is fantastic. They make Ticket to Ride, Quadropolis, Memoir 44. They make a ton of great games. Definitely check this one out. Bruno Cathala is on it. He was one of the co-creators in Mission Red Planet, which we reviewed last week. So,
oh yeah, Bruno.
Yeah. Bruno Ferdurdi and Bruno Cathala. So it's those two, but this one is Sergey Leggett, I think, and Bruno Cathala.
Oh, Sergey.
But check it out. If you like any of those, if you like Monty Python, I mean, you will love this game. I'm going to go fight the Black Knight. It's like constantly throughout the whole game we're doing that. You know what I mean? So, and it's a lot of fun. Everyone gets their own little special power. So everyone has their kind of moment in the sun to do something cool. Very, very cool. So, and the artwork is fantastic. It's great. This game is a little bit more expensive probably because of the components. So it's probably between $40 and $50. But this is a game that, again, that fits that sweet spot. You can bring it. I'm going to bring it to Thanksgiving. So that's going to be the game. Because the mechanic is simple. Okay. Try to make a full house. Go get cards at Camelot, cards to try to get this straight or this flush, so that we can complete that quest. Whereas on your turn before you go, you have to do something, the progression of evil. You either have to put a siege engine in front of Camelot, or you have to draw a black card, which are always bad, or you can take a life point away from you. So like the honorable thing to do would be to take a life point. As soon as you don't do that, everyone's like, you're the traitor. He's like, well, I'll die if I don't. So it's great. It does a good job of feeding that narrative of everyone being suspicious. So
and it's simple enough where it's a good gateway game, as you say, right?
Very, very good gateway game. So that's Shadows Over Camelot. I even think you might like this. Maybe. We'll see.
We'll see, David. We'll see. Maybe.
Okay, so that's what I've got for this week's What You Doing. I think I had one other thing, but I can't remember what it was, so we'll skip over it. Yeah, that was it. I think so much stuff going on this week. But we've got, now I know why, because the next thing we're going to talk about. So this week we've got a standard review, because all 3 of us have partaken in one particular activity, and that is going to the movies. So this week...
As we do often enough.
There was a good lull there.
Yeah, I wasn't at the movies.
The holiday season's back in full case.
Yeah, we got the December... making money,
Oscar bait and all that stuff.
Exactly. So this week we are reviewing the brand new movie Fantastic Beasts
and where to find them.
Very